It was a regular Friday evening when I walked through the front door of our apartment holding a bouquet of roses and a bottle of wine. I had left work early, excited about planning something special for our 4-year wedding anniversary coming up that weekend. Sarah, my wife, was the woman I fell in love with back in college. I thought we had built something solid, something real. But as I pushed the door open, I heard her voice coming from the living room. She was on the phone, laughing. Then I heard the words that made my blood run cold. Honestly, I think Taylor can be exchanged for something better at this point. I froze. Before I tell you what happened next, I would love to know where you are watching this from. Drop your location in the comments below. And if you have ever felt blindsided by someone you trusted, hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to hear how this story unfolds, because what I discovered next changed everything. I stood there outside the door, my hand still on the handle, trying to process what I had just heard. My wife, the person I had shared the last 4 years of my life with, just said I could be exchanged. Like I was some kind of product with a return policy. I wanted to burst in and confront her right then, but something stopped me. I needed to hear more. I stayed quiet, barely breathing, listening through the crack in the door. Sarah continued talking, her voice casual, almost bored. He is stable, sure, but there is no excitement anymore. My friend Jessica's husband just got promoted to vice president. They are going to Europe next month. First-class tickets, 5-star hotels. Meanwhile, Taylor and I are still living in this same apartment, doing the same things every weekend. Her words felt like punches to my gut. I had been working my tail off as a software engineer, pulling in $90,000 a year, which was not bad for someone my age. We had been saving up to buy a bigger house in the next 2 years. Sarah knew this. She had agreed to the plan, or at least I thought she had. I could not listen anymore. I backed away from the door, quietly walked back to my car, and just sat there in the parking lot. The roses were wilting in my lap. The wine bottle felt heavy in my hand. I kept replaying her words over and over. Exchanged for something better. Was I really that replaceable? That insufficient? I drove around for an hour before finally coming back home. When I walked in, Sarah was in the kitchen making dinner like nothing had happened. She smiled at me. "You are home." "How was work?" I forced a smile back. It was fine. I did not mention the flowers or the wine. I put them in the fridge and went to take a shower, letting the water wash over me while my mind raced. The next few days were torture. I started noticing things I had been blind to before. Sarah spent hours on her phone, scrolling through Instagram, looking at pictures of her friends and their lives. She would sigh heavily, then show me photos. "Look at Amanda's new BMW. Her husband just bought it for her birthday." Or "Lisa just moved into a house with a pool. Can you believe it?" Each comment felt like a small needle poking at my confidence. I worked hard. I was responsible. I paid our bills on time, kept us financially stable, and had a clear plan for our future. But apparently that was not enough. That was boring. One evening I decided to address it. We were sitting on the couch after dinner, and I turned to her. "Are you happy with us?" Sarah looked up from her phone, surprised by the question. "Of course." "Why would you ask that?" I hesitated. "I just feel like we are disconnected lately. Like you are somewhere else even when you are here." She put her phone down, but her expression was defensive. "Maybe because you are always working." "When was the last time we did something exciting, Taylor?" I reminded her about our plan, the house, the future we were building. She rolled her eyes. "I know about the plan, but I am 30 years old now. I do not want to wait forever for life to start being good." Her words stung. I thought life was already good. Apparently I was wrong. The conversation ended with her getting up and going to bed early. I stayed on the couch staring at the ceiling, wondering how we had gotten here. I decided to try harder. Maybe she was right. Maybe I had gotten too comfortable, too routine. That weekend I surprised her with a trip. I booked a small cabin in the mountains about 2 hours away. It was not a luxury resort, but it was peaceful, beautiful, and I thought it would give us time to reconnect. When I told Sarah, she agreed to go, but her enthusiasm was lukewarm at best. The trip was a disaster. Sarah spent most of the time taking pictures for Instagram, trying to get the perfect angle of the cabin, the trees, the sunset. But when I suggested we go for a hike through the forest, she said she was too tired. She wanted to stay inside and scroll through her phone. That night I tried to have a real conversation with her, but she barely looked at me. At one point she said, "This is nice, but it is not exactly a luxury resort, is it?" I felt my heart sink. Nothing I did was enough. We drove home in silence. I realized then that my effort was not the problem. The problem was that Sarah had already decided what she wanted, and it was not me. About a week after the failed cabin trip, something happened that confirmed my worst fears. It was a regular Wednesday morning. Sarah was in the shower, and her phone buzzed on the kitchen table. I was not the type to go through her phone. I trusted her, or at least I used to. But when I saw the name on the screen, Jessica, followed by a message preview that said, "Did you talk to him about it yet?" My stomach twisted. I knew I should not look, but I could not stop myself. I unlocked her phone. I knew the passcode because she had shared it with me years ago, back when we had nothing to hide from each other. I opened the message thread with Jessica, and what I read made my hands shake. Jessica had written, "You deserve better. Taylor is too comfortable. He has no ambition. He is just going to stay in the same job forever." And Sarah had replied, "I know. I have been thinking about what you said. Maybe I made a mistake settling down so young." My vision blurred. I kept scrolling. Jessica wrote, "My cousin is single. He is a successful lawyer, drives a Porsche. Want me to introduce you to?" Sarah had replied with a laughing emoji and said, "Maybe. Let me think about it." I could not breathe. My wife was not just unhappy. She was actively considering leaving me for someone else, someone with more money, someone more exciting. The shower stopped. I heard Sarah moving around in the bathroom. I put the phone back on the table exactly where it had been and tried to compose myself. When she walked out wrapped in a towel, she saw me sitting at the table staring at nothing. "You okay?" she asked. I looked at her, this woman. I thought I knew and asked, "Who is Jessica's cousin?" Her face went pale. She knew immediately that I had seen the messages. "Why are you going through my phone?" she snapped, trying to turn it around on me. I stood up. "Answer the question, Sarah." She grabbed her phone off the table, clutching it like it was evidence she needed to protect. It was just girl talk. "It does not mean anything." I laughed bitterly. Girl talk about leaving your husband for a lawyer with a Porsche. That kind of girl talk. She went on the defensive. "You invaded my privacy. This is about you not trusting me." I could not believe what I was hearing. "I overheard you 2 weeks ago, saying I can be exchanged for something better. Now, I see you are actually considering it. So tell me, Sarah, what part of this should I trust?" She was silent for a long moment. Then she said something that shattered whatever was left of my heart. "Maybe I am unhappy, Taylor. Did you ever think about that? You are so focused on your boring job and your boring life. I feel stuck. I feel like I am wasting my best years, waiting for something that is never going to happen." I tried to stay calm. "We have a plan. We agreed on this." She shook her head. "I agreed because I thought things would change. But you are the same person you were 4 years ago. No growth. No excitement. Just the same routine every single day." She grabbed her purse and keys. "Maybe we need space." And just like that, she walked out the door. I stood there in the empty apartment, feeling completely numb. 3 days passed. Sarah did not come home. She sent me a few short texts saying she was staying at Jessica's place and needed time to think. I tried calling. I tried texting. But every response was cold and distant. I could not focus at work. My coworkers noticed something was wrong, but I did not have the energy to explain. Every night I came home to an empty apartment and stared at our wedding photo on the wall, wondering where it all went wrong. On the 4th day, Sarah finally came home. But she was different, cold, distant. She moved through the apartment like a stranger sleeping on the couch, avoiding eye contact. I tried to talk to her, suggested we go to marriage counseling, try to fix whatever was broken. She looked at me with empty eyes and said, "What is the point? We want different things." I felt desperate. "We can work on this. I love you," she sighed. "Love is not enough, Taylor. I need more than love. I need someone who is going places. Someone who is not just playing it safe all the time." Her words were like knives. She wanted someone ambitious, someone who would give her the life she saw on Instagram, someone who was not me. A week later, everything came crashing down in a way I never saw coming. I had taken the afternoon off work feeling exhausted and emotionally drained. I needed to go home, lie down, and try to figure out what to do next. When I opened the door to the apartment, I heard voices, laughter, a man's voice mixed with Sarah's. My heart stopped. I walked into the living room and froze. Sarah was sitting on the couch with a man I had never seen before. He was wearing an expensive suit, a watch that probably cost more than my car, and he had this confident, almost smug look on his face. When they saw me, Sarah jumped up, her face flushing. "Taylor, you are home early." The man stood up, straightening his tie, and extended his hand toward me like this was some kind of business meeting. "You must be Taylor. I am Marcus. Nice to finally meet you. Sarah has told me a lot about you." I stared at his hand but did not shake it. "Really, she has not mentioned you at all." The air in the room turned ice cold. Sarah stepped between us, trying to smooth things over. "Marcus is Jessica's cousin. He is a lawyer. He was just helping me with some legal questions." I looked at her, then at him. Legal questions about what she did not answer. Marcus cleared his throat. "I think I should go. This seems like a bad time." He grabbed his briefcase and walked past me, giving Sarah a look that said everything I needed to know. When the door closed behind him, I turned to Sarah. "Legal questions about what?" She took a deep breath. "About divorce." The word hung in the air like a bomb that had just gone off. I felt like the ground had disappeared beneath me. "You are asking about divorce." She nodded. "I have been unhappy for a long time, Taylor. I deserve someone who can give me the life I want. Someone who is successful. Someone with ambition." I could barely get the words out. "Someone like Marcus." She did not deny it. "He is successful. He is going places. He is not stuck in the same job, the same apartment, the same boring routine." I felt anger rising in my chest, replacing the heartbreak. "So this is about money, about status, about keeping up with Jessica and everyone else on Instagram." She crossed her arms. "Maybe, but that does not change the fact that I want more. You are comfortable, Taylor. You will stay at the same job forever, live in the same place forever, and never take any risks. I do not want that life." I looked at her, this woman I had loved, had built a life with, and I realized I did not know her at all. "When did you become so materialistic? We used to talk about building a life together, about partnership, not about competing with everyone around us." She looked away. "People change, Taylor. I changed. You did not." Then she said the words that sealed everything. "I want a divorce. I have already talked to Marcus about it. I am entitled to half of everything." She said it so casually, like she was talking about splitting a dinner bill. I felt something inside me snap. Not heartbreak anymore. Not sadness. Anger. Cold, clear anger. That night, after Sarah went to her room, I sat alone in the dark and made a decision. I was done trying to save this. Done begging her to see my worth. If she thought I could be exchanged for something better, then I was going to give her exactly what she wanted, but not in the way she expected. I called my friend David, a lawyer I had known since college. I explained the situation and he listened carefully. Then he said, "Taylor, you need to protect yourself. Let me ask you something. Is the apartment in your name?" I thought about it. "The apartment is a rental, but the house deposit we have been saving for is mostly my income. And actually, the savings account was set up before we got married." David's voice was steady. "Good. What about assets? Any property?" Then it hit me. The house we were living in was not just any rental. It was a property my grandparents had left me in their will. I had inherited it 2 years before Sarah and I got married. It was in my name only. Sarah had no legal claim to it. I told David this, and he paused. "Taylor, if that house is your inheritance, and was yours before the marriage, she has no right to it. And if you can prove that most of your savings came from your income, and if there is evidence of infidelity or misconduct, you can protect a lot more than you think." I remembered the text messages, the meetings with Marcus. I started to see a way forward. David continued, "Gather evidence. Anything that shows her intentions. Text messages, emails, receipts. If she has been using joint funds for personal expenses related to this Marcus guy that is financial misconduct, document everything. I felt a strange sense of calm wash over me. I was not going to be the victim here. Not anymore. Over the next few days, I quietly gathered everything I needed. I took screenshots of the messages between Sarah and Jessica and the messages with Marcus. I checked our joint credit card statements and found something shocking. Sarah had spent over $2,000 in the last month on gifts, expensive cologne, a leather wallet, dinners at high-end restaurants. All of it was for Marcus. She had been using our money to impress another man. I also recorded a conversation. One night I asked Sarah directly why she wanted a divorce. She said on recording, "Because Marcus can give me a better life. He is successful. He has money. You do not." It was cold, cruel. But it was exactly what I needed. I met with David and showed him everything. He looked through the documents, listened to the recording, and nodded. "You have a strong case, Taylor. The house is yours. Most of the savings are yours. And she has been misusing joint funds. If she tries to claim half of everything, we can fight it, and we will win." 2 days later, I called Sarah into the living room. She sat down across from me, arms crossed, looking annoyed. "What is it, Taylor?" I took a deep breath. "I have been thinking about what you said, about the divorce, and I have decided you are right. We should end this." She looked surprised, then almost relieved. "I am glad you are being reasonable about this. Marcus said we can settle this quickly and move on." I nodded slowly. "About that. I talked to my lawyer, too." Her expression changed. I slid a folder across the table toward her. "This is the house. It was left to me by my grandparents before we got married. It is in my name. You have no claim to it." Her eyes went wide. I continued, "This is the savings account. The majority of the money in it came from my salary. I have documentation proving that." I pulled out the credit card statements. "This is $2,000 you spent on gifts for Marcus using our joint account. That is, misuse of marital funds." Her face went pale. Finally, I played the recording on my phone. Her voice filled the room, "Because Marcus can give me a better life. He is successful. He has money. You do not." When it finished, I looked her in the eye. "You wanted something better, Sarah. Here it is. I am giving you exactly what you asked for, your freedom, but you are leaving with what you came in with. No house, minimal assets, and Marcus." I paused. "I hope he is worth it." She was shaking. "You cannot do this. This is not fair." I stood up. "Fair. You spent a month planning to leave me for a richer man while spending my money on him. You told me I could be exchanged for something better. So I am giving you the chance to find out if better actually exists." She grabbed her phone and called Marcus right there in front of me. I could hear his voice on the other end, hesitant. "Sarah, maybe we should slow down. I did not realize things were this complicated. I need to think about this." She hung up her hands, trembling. Marcus, the successful lawyer with the Porsche, was backing out. Turns out he was only interested when he thought Sarah came with a payout. Without it, she was just another person. I walked to the door and opened it. "You should pack your things." She left that night. I watched her car pull out of the driveway, and for the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe. The first few months after Sarah left were strange. The apartment felt empty, but it also felt lighter. Like a weight I did not know I was carrying had finally been lifted. I heard through mutual friends that Sarah had moved in with Jessica. Apparently Marcus had disappeared from her life 2 weeks after our final conversation. Turned out he was not looking for a real relationship. He was looking for someone easy, someone who came with benefits. When Sarah showed up with nothing but drama, he lost interest fast. She tried to reach out a few times. Late-night texts, asking if we could talk. Voicemails saying she made a mistake. But I did not respond. There was nothing left to say. She had made her choice, and now she had to live with it. I was not angry anymore. I was not hurt. I was just done. I started focusing on myself. I joined a gym and started working out in the mornings before work. I took an online course to improve my coding skills, something I had been putting off for years. 3 months after the divorce was finalized, I got a promotion at work. My boss noticed the extra effort I had been putting in and rewarded it with a senior engineer position and a $20,000 raise. Funny how things work out when you stop letting someone else drain your energy. I reconnected with old friends I had lost touch with during my marriage. We started doing weekend trips, going hiking, catching games, just living life without constantly worrying about whether it was impressive enough for social media. I realized something important. I was not boring. I was not stuck. I had just been with someone who made me feel that way because she was chasing something that did not exist. One Saturday afternoon, I ran into an old college friend named Emily at a coffee shop. We talked for hours, laughing about old memories, catching up on life. She had gone through her own rough divorce a year earlier. "It is strange, is it not?" she said. "You spend so much time thinking you are not enough for someone. Then you realize they were just not right for you." I nodded. That was exactly it. Sarah did not leave because I was not good enough. She left because she was chasing a fantasy. And fantasies do not pay the bills or hold your hand when life gets hard. I learned something valuable through all of this. Never beg someone to see your worth. If someone thinks you can be exchanged for something better, give them that chance. Let them go. Let them search. Because most of the time they will realize too late that what they had was already the best thing they could have asked for. Sarah thought Marcus was better because he had money and status. But when things got real, when she needed actual support, he vanished. I was the one who had been there. I was the one who was stable, loyal, and committed. But she could not see that until it was too late. A few months ago, I heard Sarah got engaged to someone new. Some guy she met online. I do not know much about him, and honestly, I do not care. I hope she is happy. I really do. But I also know that happiness does not come from upgrading people like you, upgrade phones. It comes from appreciating what you have and building something real with someone who values you. As for me, I am doing better than I ever thought I would. I bought a new car. Nothing flashy, just something reliable that I wanted. I have been dating casually, taking my time, not rushing into anything. And I have learned to love my life exactly as it is. No comparisons, no competitions. Just me living on my own terms. Sometimes the best thing you can give someone who thinks they deserve better is the chance to find out what better really means. And sometimes better means being alone until you find someone who actually deserves you. So let me ask you this. Have you ever had to walk away from someone who did not see your value? How did you handle it? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I would love to hear your story. And if this resonated with you, hit that like button. Subscribe to hear more real stories like this one. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Sometimes we all need a reminder that our worth is not determined by someone else's inability to see it. Thank you for listening. I hope you find someone who chooses you every single day, not because you are perfect, but because you are worth it. Take care of yourselves out there.